Hello, good evening. How's everyone doing? I can't believe anyone's here, considering that I'm competing with Justin Sun and the future of TRX, which apparently is giving away 500 million TRX. So I'm surprised you're not all there watching him. In fact, don't leave and watch him. That you can watch him later, right? Okay, it's been a really brutal day in the market. Hi, Jimmy too. We're going to start with the Nasdaq. The main reason is because of the Nasdaq is so correlated with Bitcoin, and if we look likely that we're going to continue lower in the Nasdaq, then we're probably going to continue lower in crypto as well, unfortunately. If we look at this big swing from the lows, and that's by the lows I mean this year, low to highs, then we've broken this 236 fib that we were holding above for a week or so, and that's pretty bearish. That level now, 11087, becomes our resistance, if you like. And if we get above the daily 50, we can say that the bottom is in. But at the moment, we haven't, I don't think, done enough for this to be a complete correction. In other words, if I measure the first swing and the second swing, we haven't quite reached that level where this second swing is 61.8 of the first one, which was what you would normally expect. So we've got pretty strong resistance. However, I would not be surprised, honestly, to see quite a strong bounce from here. I feel like everyone thinks it's got a little bit too overdone. I think we'll see some more downside. And, you know, for American traders, this market was in the hole today. You know, it was too far down to sell and no setup to buy. I think that we could see quite a strong rally into the close. If we don't hold these lows here, then we probably won't. Then 11,087 is the level to watch. If we get back above that, I think that we could be done. But very often, you know, when we have a sell-off in this time of day, then Asian markets will follow on. So the Asian markets will continue lower. So if we get one more push lower here, then 10,595 would be the first kind of bounce level support for the Nasdaq. If we're looking at the S&P, this one's a little bit more promising, because for me, when I measure it, and I've got quite a lot going on this chart, I apologize. When I measure it, we're still bearish, because if I go from this year's low to highs, we're underneath this 236 fib, but we have actually reached this ABC first equal measured move level, and we're bouncing off these highs here. So a pretty good level where we could stage a recovery. And I can't tell you how many times we'll have a really strong down day and people will buy the lows. If we look here, we've got a little bit of a double bottom. We've stopped going down. For me though, if we close, and we've got, gosh, 3 hours till that happens. If we close underneath 32.53, which is this fib level, then I think that we will consolidate and continue lower in Asian trading. If we, and if you think of it, when the futures close, when the US markets close, and that's 11 p.m. in London and it's midnight in Europe, when those futures close, that's the close. And if we are not above that level, I think we see follow on. If we can recover that level, we might see a bit of an overnight bounce. And that's what I would be expecting. So that's where we are with these stock indexes. And so the next couple of hours will be quite key. Make no bones about it though, I think that we're going to see we might bounce here, but we're underneath the really important daily moving averages, and I think that we're going to see more downside, more of this correction before this is over, and most likely back to an equal measured move in the S&P would take us to 3128 or 3050, and we would say hi to this 200-day moving average, and I think that that's going to be more likely. So even if this is just a correction, but the thing for me, and I'm going to hide some of these fib levels, let's tidy up this chart. The thing for me, I feel like we're in this S&P, I feel like we're in a bigger wedge. And this correction, you know, is a kind of an irregular flat correction. So if this is our first leg lower and this is our next one, so we've gone A, B, C if you like, this swing should have a relationship to this swing. And in that case, we're looking, aren't we, much lower in that case. So if we measure like this is why I've got this level here in the middle, and it's like a pivot level through the middle of this wedge, 28.65. Oh, well, it's not quite that. Anyway, a little bit lower, 28.30, and then 28.65, which is this high at the beginning. I think that potentially we're back to the middle of this wedge. So this is where I think that we're headed, but initially that 200 moving average, and we'll see what happens there. So 3,000, 3,100 is most likely where we're headed next. And so more downside, so we should expect more downside in crypto land before this is over. This FTSE, you're asking, I see you asking about this FTSE. I'm a little bit more, bullish in this FTSE because I think in this recovery we've seen a big A leg and this is a B leg, and we'll likely see another leg higher in this one. The key question is, we're in this declining wedge. Where is it going to end? I think I've got my fibs on from this high to low. Let me just hide them for a minute. Normally I would say if you reverse at a 50%, so from the big high to this low, we reversed at a 50%. That is normally, you would then normally, mean reverting markets tend to keep mean reverting. So in the FTSE, you'd be looking for 50% back. So from this low to this high, we've got a little bit lower, 5,700. And normal pullbacks are between 50 and 61.8. And so if we come back and retest this 236 fib, that would be in the middle there, a little bit lower. But I think initially 5,705. So wouldn't bet on these lows holding, and I think 50% back of the entire rally is where the FTSE is headed to before we find some support, and that's at 5,705. David Corden said, did you know that we're on a 9 in the TD sequential yearly? Ooh. Well, let's go back to this S&P, and I'm going to go to a weekly chart of this broadening wedge, because is it a broadening wedge, or is it, because that would be, you know, just a correction and then we carry on. If we go all the way back, I can't do it on this chart, but if we go all the way back to in time to the Dow Jones, I'm going to put a monthly chart on that one. We've made this pattern before, and it was just not in 2002, but we did it here, look, back in the 60s. We made this kind of broadening wedge pattern, and this is the pattern that I think we're making at the highs in the S&P. So here we are from 65, here's our upper, and then here's our lower wedge, if you like. Now, didn't quite meet the low, and if we know very often when you draw a triangle, Elliott wave triangle, and you do A, B, C, D, E, you know, very often the E doesn't quite, so we have A, B, C, D, E. Very often the E, it terminates a little early, and then you carry on. So you have an uptrend, and so on. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the pattern that we're looking at. And I think a lot is going to depend on the election. You know, markets don't like uncertainty. The COVID thing. So yeah, if we look at where we are, we're kind of here, aren't we? So we've had this and we're here. So it could be a few years. I don't know. I'm just saying that that's the potentially the broadening wedge pattern that I think that we might be looking at in the S&P, and this is therefore where we are. And if we came all the way down to the bottom of the wedge, then wow, that would be a long way, wouldn't it? If we take this whole swing and we put fibs on, so if we go back to the 2009 low, and we measure our fibs back from there. And after a big correction like that, you can see that when we dip down here before, we didn't quite reach this 50% back level. Maybe we will this time, and if we did that and made a marginal new low, we'd be looking at sort of 21, 29, and that's, I know it sounds crazy, but I don't think we can underestimate the economic damage that has been done by the actions to contain COVID. And I think it could take us a few years to get over it. And the taxes may need to go up, you know. But anyway, thank you, David Corden. That's kind of the top of the 2008 high and all the way back here. Well, yeah, that would be quite something. These 2000, I don't know if you remember, you know, when we were in these 2000, in the 2000, let me get this on the right place. This trading here, you know, in 2015 was very tricky trading. These highs, I think, are going to be a very big level, and they do line up perfectly with the 50% back now that I've drawn it correctly. So I would not be surprised at all if 2100 would be where we go. So if we can see it a bit better on the monthly. There we go. Just where we didn't quite get back to before. And then you know what happens, you know, when you do a 50% correction, you usually bounce 50%, then 50% back. That's going to take ages to work our way out of. So let's see. So if we look at where we are on our 15-minute, I'm just saying that end of day after a big data like this, would not be surprised to see a bit of a bullish close. And after a very big drop day like we've had today, the most common pattern for the following day is either to follow on, in other words, keep selling, or an inside bar. So an inside bar would be probably what gets my vote. And usually 50%, so you have a big down day, 50% of the candle, so somewhere around here would be kind of, if we're just going to have a back and fill inside day, would likely cap it, and then we'll see where we go from there. So what does all this mean then for Bitcoin? Let's take a look at, I was going to talk, actually I was going to mention gold because everybody wants to mention my view on gold. And I'm going to start with a monthly chart. Now the Elliott wave, people, so I've talked about this in gold before. So normally in a correction, okay, or in an impulse wave, you have 5 waves up, all right, and you have a 3-wave correction. Usually back to the wave 4, and then you carry on again. Okay, happy days. So that's an impulse wave and a correction. Sometimes in corrections, they can be a little bit funky. So you have 5 waves up. Sometimes you make a triangle and you carry on. That's also a correction. Sometimes you can make a broadening wedge that we've just talked about. Sometimes you have 5 waves. I'm going to draw it 5 waves up, and you make your A leg, and then your B leg goes beyond the A, and then it's still a correction, and you carry on. Sometimes it looks really bullish. In fact, it doesn't even look like a correction because it'll be like a running correction where, so you have your A leg and it pulls back and then you make it higher, and then, so it'll just be choppy and overlapping and then carry on again. Doesn't even look like we've done a correction, have we? But we have. It's an irregular correction. But what I think that we're looking at in gold potentially, and this is what the Elliott wave people think that we are looking at in gold, is one of those corrections where we have a nice impulse wave up, have an A leg down, and then the B leg goes slightly or beyond and then does this. And so when we go back and we look at where we are here on the monthly in gold, this is only a maybe. Here's our, so they think they see the decline from the 2011 high as the A leg. This is the B leg, and then a C leg to come before we carry on higher again. Now, and that doesn't make sense, does it? Because you think, well, everybody should be really bullish gold, you know, because they're devaluing the pulp. I am going to do uni, don't worry. They're devaluing, you know, why would that happen, blah, blah, blah. And I think it's just because gold is too crowded of a trade. If everybody thinks that gold is going to go up, then it's not. So that's the bearish view for gold. The bullish view for gold is that this is a wave 1 and we've done a wave 2 with an ABC correction, and we're in a wave 3. Maybe we finish wave 3 and this is a wave 4. So how this unfolds will tell us quite a lot about whether this is we're going to see another big major swing lower, or whether we're just going to consolidate and then carry on higher again. The most common patterns in wave 4s are triangles or wedges, or, you know, declining wedges, because this was quite simple ABC. We might see something a little bit different up here. If this is a wave 3, the most common retrace would be 38.2, and that puts us down here. So we've still got, actually no, a little bit higher, I've drawn it wrong. That puts us down here around 1725. At the moment, we haven't even started the correction because we're holding from this big wave 3, we're holding above this 236 fib level. Sometimes you see that and you'll just go sideways at this level and carry on higher. If we lose 1859, if we drop down below 1859, then 1725 is where the support is. So there we go. So either sideways and then carry on higher, or 1725. So I just thought I'd update that one for you. We'll get rid of those stock indexes. And so where are we then with Bitcoin? Well, let's go to a daily chart and take a look. Because this was a pretty nasty move today. We said in my group this morning, if we lose this channel and if we lose 10,850, get out of Dodge because it's going down. And that's exactly what happened. And we've gone down. The key thing here now is, because if I measure from this high to this low, we just reversed at 50%. When you do 50%, you tend to come back 50%. And it looks like we're going to close back above that 50% level. Maybe. We're not quite there yet. 10,517. If we do, that would be quite interesting. That would set us up for a bigger rally. 50% back of the drop, you know, and back up to somewhere up here, you know, 10,008, where we drop down from, in other words. If we don't and we close underneath that, I think it'll be quite tricky. This 50% at 10,517 could be resistance, but more likely when you reverse at a 61.8, you go back to the 38.2. So that would be the swing that we would be looking for, and then likely something like that. But still bearish. Reversal of these moving averages does point to another swing lower in the 200 moving average in Bitcoin if indexes continue to sell off. So it's got a lot of work now to do to make a bottom. You know, Bitcoin's very good at making bottoms and making tops and telling us it's stopped going up. You know, this V bottom that we had in March is very rare. Most of the time, Bitcoin likes to double top or retest or make a really long pullback, you know. So you do have really good opportunities to get in. But yeah, let's see. The other way to look at this in Bitcoin, apart from this 50% big picture, if we zoom out, from the high that we made in June 2019 to the low that we made in March 2020, we've reversed at a 786 fib. It's messy, which is unusual, but when you do that, if you break the fib level underneath it, which is in this case the 61.8, and really good support and resistance, if we look left here, look at this really sort of support, resistance, 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 really strong level, and of course that 10,000 level. So if we drop underneath 99.76, When you reverse it to 786, you go back to the 38.2. So that gives us our big target. And it's down here at 7,500. So that's what we'd be looking for. If we lose 10,000, I think that there's a very good chance that we go to 7,540, 7,500 basically. Okay. Got a similar thing going on in ETH. They seem to have just messed up, but let's take a look. Now, if we look at very simple, you know, ABCs and impulse waves, we can say that if this, I don't know if this B leg is finished. And sometimes we get tricked, right? So it looks like, you know, we've done our B legs, in fact, I think are the hardest to read. So it looks like we've done an A, B, C, doesn't it? All very simple. Let's go back here to the 200 moving average. We'll say hi, kiss, and then carry on up again. That would be really simple and easy, wouldn't it? But why doesn't it work? Well, sometimes this B leg isn't finished. This B leg unfolds into an ABC. And so what we could see here in F is this is just our A, B, C. So now we've gone A, B, and then we go C. So it's never easy, let's put it that way. And a lot depends on how you can count it and whether you can. When I look under the hood here, this looks like nice 5 waves down, doesn't it? And then very choppy overlapping. I would not be surprised if we had another go at a leg higher if it's really strong in stocks. But don't, if that happens, fight the FOMO in F. Like, if you buy it, treat it as a swing trade, as a short-term swing trade, not a long-term buy and hold forever, okay? And we'll say this was our first leg higher in F, like this. We've gone ABC, and here's our next leg higher. And if we go from here, then, you know, potentially we're looking at 418, maybe 442, back to that, and then when it rolls over, get out. Like, get out. There is nothing simpler, honestly. If you mark those levels, where we say we're here, where we have an equal measured move like this, there's nothing simpler than a Heikin-Ashi candle that goes from green to red and tells you it's rolling over. Okay, so yeah, I don't think it's the place to be buying ETH for a big long-term buy, but I do think that we could see a bounce, and a bounce would be a bit of a relief rally for a lot of these alts that have been just ugly and predicted it all coming, didn't it? So Jimmy says, you bought last Monday, you bought ONT. We'll take a look at ONT because I've hardly got like any requests for tonight. Just because, in fact, the market hasn't, in fact, there is no, I don't know why it's not giving me the list of coins, but that's fine because I'm going to tell you, we're going to look at NEO, BNB, KNC, XHV, Uni, ADA, and we'll do ONT, okay? So we're going to look at NEO, and then BNB, and then KNC next. So first off, NEO. This one was really doing well. You could farm on NEO. I forget what it was you could farm. But farming started on NEO. Happy days. Sometimes, as you know, I use fib projections from last swings lower. And this looked like a very nice last swing lower for me. And we hit because all of these fibs on the way up. I looked first of all for the 236 fib to validate, and it was a really, really good level, and it did. So these fibs have worked all the way for me, and the 1272 is where we got knocked back. Might it knock us all the way back? I'm not sure. I have to say I'm a little bit concerned. I really would not buy NEO again until I saw a big 3-wave correction, and the reason is I can count 5 waves from the lows, and so I think it's too risky. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in this 5 wave we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need to see 3 waves of correction. So are we likely to bounce? And yes, we are likely to bounce, but we are also likely to see another leg lower before it's over. And if we reverse, so if we hide those fibs and we put retrace fibs on instead from this low, here you can see 2067, we are underneath the 236 fib and underneath this daily 20 moving average. If we don't close back above 20.67, we're going to continue lower to 17.46. So NEO, Tether, more downside before we bounce, and we still need 3 waves. So if you're still long, I would look to exit on bounces, and yeah, be patient before we can buy this one again, is what I would be watching for. We'll take a quick peek at NEO Bitcoin and see where we are. And we'll do the same thing now. We hit a big level. My target was always, you see this opening range? This, in, you know, I used to trade penny stocks, AIM stocks, and this opening range is always really important levels in penny stocks, and it seems to work this way in crypto as well. And these lows, if you look right from when we started, this is a weekly chart on Binance, were really important support, and then resistance, and that's where we've got knocked back here. So a big level, but not the end of the world. I think this is a big wave 1, 2, and then this is hopefully a big wave 3. So a normal pullback of a wave 3 wouldn't it, 38.2, and that's back to this support level here. So that's got a lot lining up for it at 1835 potential support. Maybe if I've drawn it from it, still, yeah, 1840, 1835 is where I would be looking for support. But remember, we need to see this be 3 waves, and so if we bounce off it, what we might see, you know, is this, and then we carry on again, or we might see, you know, even, I don't think it'll be a triangle in this position, but that would be the level that I would be looking at for support in NEO, a Bitcoin, and then we'll see a bounce. And if our bounce then becomes a lower high and you don't like it, don't want to ride out another wave, that's your exit before we do it. Okay, that's where we are in NEO. The next one we're going to look at is BNB, then KNC. Okay, BNB, had high hopes for BNB, but last week, just like all the alts, they all got completely dashed. Let's zoom out. One of the main reasons, oh, this is Ignis, didn't break out, did it? Here we go, wrong one. Okay. Now, this is big picture here in Binance Bitcoin weekly, from this low to this high. We bounced from a 61.8 level. When you do that, your target's the 38.2, your first target. Your second target, if it goes beyond, is the 236, but it didn't. And this 50% in the middle should act like a pivot level, and you can see how it's done. It was resistance, support, and we've broken it. So we're headed back to this 61.8 level, I think, barring a miracle that puts us back above 24,146. And yeah, like I thought this, it's frustrating. To be honest, when you're in this golden, you know, I really can't be bullish or bearish, you know, when you're in this big golden ratio zone between the 61.8 and the 38.2, you really can go backwards and forwards for quite a long time, and it doesn't really tell you anything about trend. Meatfish has BNB dumped because the BSC mainnet has all the scams of Uniswap with none of the tools such as charts to actually help. Great. I don't still do the AIM podcast. No, I'd quite like to. Do, and I really like AIM stocks. I'd quite like to do a daily thing. You know, I've got plans for the future. I like stock charts. You know, I just like charts basically. So we're pretty neutral when we're in here. We've got really, really good support here at 1848. But if we look potentially, now look, this is a weekly chart, look how we've gone beyond these levels. I think if we can find support here at this weekly 20, and it looks like we have, and we close the week back above this 24,146 level, then that would say, you know, saved. That would be a big, long, nice candle as well on the weekly. So I'm going to hold my breath and see if this week we can get back above 24,146. And if so, then that would be where we are going. So hello, Thinly Spread. I'll look at XTZ if I can. So we're going to be bullish again if we get back above 24,146. Otherwise, we're a little bit neutral and we're looking for the lows in BNB against Bitcoin. And in BNB against US dollar Tether, we'll just check the levels. Okay, so in this one, remember, so from all-time lows to all-time highs, we reversed at a 786 fib. We reached the 23.6 in this one, so now you come back to the middle. And so I think we've got further to fall in BNB against Tether on the weekly, and 20.04 is where I would line up and be looking to buy this one. Let's put the overlay though, just from this low to the high, make sure that we're not too out of whack. Look, that's exactly this 50% bag. If we're smart though, look, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up. This has got to be 3 waves. So we're going to see a bounce, and then I think 20 is where Binance Coin Tether needs to come back to. And then time to buy again. Okay, let's look at the next one, which was KNC. And then XH3, and then I'll do all your requests, and we will do Uniswap, ONT, we will do XTZ, we will do OMG, all the ones that have been so mean and nasty this week. And I'm having a brain fart and I can't remember where KNC hides out. I think it's here. No. Hold on. No. Here we go. Oh, I'm so tired. My puppy had me up all night last night. It's not funny. I ate something disgusting. Okay, I've got it against Tether here now. This rally, this perfect ABC, this is a daily chart of KNC US dollar Tether, perpetual futures, ABC, equal measured move, that's bearish. Whenever you see it, especially if it drops back below this 61.8 level, and that's why I'm like the zigzag girl, I'm always measuring the swings, because that's your sign when it reverses at a level like that. And so let's put fib extensions on. So we're going to go from this low to this high. When you have an ABC, you put them on both swings. Okay, and we're going to look for the extensions. The first one we're looking for is the 113. We'll take all these other levels off because they're getting a mess. Then the 1272, then the 1.618. So we've hit the first of these levels where potentially we've got support at 0.865. If we hold that and we get back above 0.00506 or this previous low, then that would be a bullish reversal. So back above yesterday's closing price, basically. After hitting this fib level, that's going to be our resistance, and then we're bullish for looking for a bigger swing. I think we can count 5 waves down here now. So at some point we're going to be looking for a reversal, aren't we? If we can't hold this level though, 0.865, 0.712 is the 1272. That would be the next level. So against the dollar, Kyber network has further to fall. I'm just looking under the hood here to see. It's really hard to count those. Now, very often, wave 1 and wave 5 have a relationship, fib relationship. So if we measure wave 1, we measure wave 5 here, you can see that this 1272 lines up with where they're equal, and that's very common. So I'm going to say, my money says that this finds resistance, and that's where we end up. And that would be where this wave 1 and wave 5 are equal. So 0.7298 for Kyber network. If you're looking at, or you're trading Kyber network against Bitcoin, we will see where we are with this one. Yeah, so we lost this support and we're headed back. The equal measure move in this one now is still lower, 7045. I love this chart. I thought I had so much high hopes for this, you know, but yeah, 50% of this last swing, it just, anyway. Looky here, we've got really good support a little bit lower, 7045 and the weekly 50. So that's what I'm looking for next for this one. But let's be a little bit real, because this, for 1 second, because I'm just going to measure these swings higher. It wasn't. See, that was 61.8 of the first time. I was thinking that was a wave 3. Everything will be good. We'll carry on higher, but it just didn't. So, yeah, poor old Kyber network. Got a little bit further to go. Yeah, when we zoom out, it doesn't look so bad. And we've got this weekly 50 moving average here. And if we look on this, that's, you know, a pretty good level. So we are coming into support in Kyber network at 7,045 against Bitcoin. Okay, so the next chart we're going to look at is Haven. And normally I will say that I have quite a big position in Haven. And so I just want you to know that. Not that because I don't want you to mislead you. I do have a position in this one. Okay, this is another one, highs to lows, 61.8 reversal. Messy, but we didn't reach that 786 fib level, did we? And when you reverse at a 61.8 level, this is a 4-hour chart. If you break the 50%, you go to the 38.2, which is down here, and potentially the 236. So we're sitting on really pretty key support at 18,850. I did actually take some off, waiting for this correction to play out. The problem with this one is, and if you try and trade it at Bittrex, you'll find out, it's really hard to get in and out without moving the market. So it's a tricky one. In Haven. I'm hoping that this is a really nice impulsive rally, even if it's not. This is either a wave 1 or a wave A, and we're going to do a B and then either wave 3 or wave C, and that's where we're at. So yeah, 18,850. We'll likely see some more downside, 16,220. Or I did take some off. Here's the thing though, look at these moving averages. They're all bullish, lined up how you want them. They all say if we come back into the price, we should be on our way back up again. So I'm a little bit optimistic for this one. I know I've got my high Kanashi candles on. put them on like this. You can see we've had a pretty couple of really strong weeks, haven't we? Now this 38.2 level that we might come back to is huge. Look at, if we look left here, it's around here. Need to make sure this is level. Okay, so yeah, these lows here, highs, high, low. So a big deal if we come back to 16,000. There we go. So Haven still in a correction. Uni, let's look at Uni. I will look at Atom and we'll do, I'm sorry, I'm being a bit slow. Well, chatty now. Obviously, when we put a daily chart up with this one, there is not much to look at. But I will point out something about these candles. When you have big green candles like this, and then you have little inside bars, which these are, then that is bullish. And if you look it up, they're called rising three methods, or falling three methods, I think it's called. So a big up candle and then three little inside bars like this, you would normally on the next day be looking for it to hold support and rally away, and then a big, hopefully, green up day. So I'm just saying that's what this candlestick pattern on the daily chart is looking like, okay? So if we look under the hood though here on the hourly, how are we doing? It's a little bit tricky, isn't it? We're in a declining wedge, so like this. Yeah, we'll connect our lows like that. We're in a declining wedge and we are like this. I'm going to widen it out, or maybe not go from there. Maybe we'll use it like that just in case. So we're in a declining wedge. When we break out of this declining wedge, that should be a leading sign that we have finished and we are on our way up again. But for now, we've got 2 touches on the upside and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 touches on the bottom side of this. And so I think that we can rely on this. If we rely on fibs as well, I would say that, and they're not working quite as well, but if we put them from the high to the low, we can know when we're going up again because we will be above the 236 fib. And so that would say 5.13 uni is done with going down and broken out and going up. 5.13, that's the 236 fib level. Okay, so that's looking pretty good, but unless we do that, you know, we are likely to have another leg of lower. This is a falling wedge. If I clone that bottom line, that's true. Now when you clone the bottom line, what that gives you is where you are likely to first hit trouble when you break out. And so that's a pretty good sign because that says this 236 fib level is a good sign of a reversal, and then this 38.2 is the first place that we are likely to hit a serious resistance. And if we look left again, we've got support and resistance there, and so that's how we'd be looking at that. So 5.13 should get us to 5.79. Above 5.79 we are looking good. Okay, otherwise, yeah, there we go. So Uniswap, that's against Tether. What did you say? Look at it against against BNB. Very volatile, I bet it is. Let's take a quick look against Bitcoin because I actually really do like this chart. Now, from this low to this high, most common retrace is 50%. If we look, this 38.2 was a really nice bounce level, and here we are bouncing off the 50%. So if we get above, so now remember, mean reverting markets tend to keep mean reverting. So if we put our fibs the other way, if we get above this 236 fib here, which is at 48,802, 48,802, that's our, if we get above there, then our target is 50% on the upside, which is here, 59,327. And I bet if we cloned our line here, just go from one end to the other, probably put us there. Look, that's exactly. Okay, so 59,327. We better go look at that. We've got an alert for Theta. How exciting. We were looking at Theta this morning. I'm going to go look at that in a minute. So yeah, above 48,802 in Uni against Bitcoin. Our target's 59,327, and then above there, happy days. So this is resistance and support, isn't it? And we'll see. Okay. Next one we're going to look at. Now we've looked at Uni. Ooh, we got a request for ADA. Then we're going to look at, and then I have to go back and look at what's been asked for here. So we're going to look at XTZ. We're going to look at Link. We're going to look at OMG and ONT, wasn't it? Okay, so we've got lots to look for. Okay. But I love it when an alarm goes off, so I'm going to go and have a look at why. Yay, Theta. Oh, this is what. So this is a lovely, I thought we had a really nice little bullish flag going on here, this 786 fib. See, in Theta, against Bitcoin, from this high to this low, each one of these fib levels has been really well respected. We've done our pullback at the 786 fib here, look. Now we're breaking above it. We're going to look for 5909 next, and then hopefully new highs. And so happy days. Theta Bitcoin then is breaking out from this. Hopefully not a false breakout. From this sideways ABC consolidation. Yay. Nice long entry then. Let's take a quick look at Theta dollar. So this, the alarm is on it because I had this on my watch list this morning. I think we've done a nice ABC in this one as well. And Theta US dollar tether. This is gonna, if we can get above this level, that gets us to new highs. So we're looking for above 0.589. That would be our breakout in tether. I'm missing my 113 little fib that we sometimes go to. So 0.641 and then 0.696 on the upside. So haven't quite broken out yet, but this again looks really pretty nice, doesn't it? Let's see. Here's our little flag, if you like. That's going to be. Actually, no. Well, that's what we're looking for. Change the color. There we go. Yeah. So above 0.589 against tether, that will confirm, and then 0.641 and so on. So tether's on the move. Okay, next one. I'm going to go back to ADA. I was asked to look at ADA. ADA. Bah! Most corrections are 50 or 61.8 of, and here we've got a big swing here going on, and we've lost today that 50% level. So the next one we're going to be looking for is that 61.8 in ADA tether. Can't seem to put it in. There we go. So it's like a staircase, isn't it? 236 fib, 38.2, 50%. Yes, might we bounce here from the 200 moving average? We might. But unless we can get back above that 50% level, it's a resistance, and we'd be looking for this here, 0.06998. Now, if we bounce from this 200 moving average and we close the week back above this 50% level, then I would say, you know, on a weekly chart, this would look like we'd held the level pretty well, and it would just be a little tail, wouldn't it? And then we'd be looking for more upside, and then we'd be looking to break out above this 20 and then carry on higher. So potential bounce level here for ADA tether at this 200 moving average, but only back above these lows, and 0.0855 would I'd be comfortable about us going up again. I think otherwise that level is going to be resistance. So, ADA Bitcoin, does that look any better? Well, what we really want to see is ADA against Bitcoin also on a support level. And then if it starts to bounce and outperform, then, and it's not, unfortunately, ADA Bitcoin, if we look at it this way, we've lost the 200 moving average. We've lost this, and again, these fib levels were quite well respected, and we're underneath it. So, yeah, I think now in ADA Bitcoin on a bounce, that resistance is going to be the 200 moving average. That's now our resistance here, and we're headed to 655. Why is ADA so unpopular? Just other new stuff, I guess. So no, I think we've got further to fall, and I would sell bounces in ADA for now. Sorry to say. Okay, so gonna go back, and oh my god, where are we? Uni we've done. YFI, yeah, I've got a little YFI. That was the first request. I think I got a little. I don't know. Can you chart YFI on here? I think you can, can't you? That Paxos keeps getting my eye. I keep thinking, ah, that looks like it's all ready to go. Let's try YFI Bitcoin now. Here's a daily chart of this one. Normally, I would say back to, if I was looking at a big 5-wave chart like this, the most common retrace would be back to this bottom of this wave 4 here. We're not quite there yet. So we have to do something spectacular, or be at a really good level for another reason for me to go, yeah, okay, we're probably going up. If we look, that lines up with the 61.8, and here we are at the 50%. So, you know, mean reverting markets tend to mean revert. So we could very easily do 50% back and then a 61.8 like here, like this. So I'm not saying we're not going to bounce here. It's an all right support and resistance level. How will we know? Well, let me just quickly. I hate looking at waves on lower time frames, but just chuck our fibs on the other way. Those previous lows, look in the hourly, 4-hourly 20 moving average. So 0.259 and under, back above that would be a good sign that we are on our way higher again. 0.259. This is also a declining wedge, isn't it? There's quite a few of them about in these altcoins. Look, we've got 1, 2, 3 touches. So the top of the channel, the major resistance or your target, if you buy this one. Let's line it up from the top here. So we'll have that first resistance level here at 2.59, and then the top of the channel will be where we would be looking for next. If I've drawn it correctly, I might not have. Let me. Yeah, I think I have. Yeah, no, I have. So yeah, if we don't break out of this channel, third touches, right, are very often false breakouts. So if you see that in triple bottoms and triple tops, so that we've got, look, 1, 2 touches. So if we have a false breakout here, can't get above that 4-hour 50 moving average, and then head lower, than look for this 61.8 level and 1.789 to be support in yield finance. But for now, Looks like it wants to have a go, doesn't it? Let's see what yield finance looks like against Tether. Make sure there's nothing scary on this chart. Not really. Not really any, not really good level, not really good moving average. It's just 50%. So back above that 4-hour 200, which would that would help. Let's take a look at the hourly, and we'll just draw our I think we're just going to do it like this. Little bit messy, look. 1, 2, third touch, false break. So, you know, the channel's not working so well here. What I would say is, if this is a 50% reversal, which it looks like, and I'll leave that on and draw it out like that, then you would normally expect this rally to find resistance at 50% of the drop. So 50% of the drop would be like this then. And here. And so actually we should have drawn it the way we had it, shouldn't we? So that is our major resistance, and we can now put a number on it. Let's put it on the right and see. Okay, so this low, this low, this low, big support and resistance level, 32,583 is your upside target. And above that, then we've got next leg up, I think, for YFI Tether. Okay, so Uni, YFI, let's look at ONT. ONT broke a few hearts, didn't she? Let's see what's going on. Ontology, break mine a little bit. I was really sure about that one, but just goes to show, doesn't it? Ontology. So I've been really troubled with the fib levels and where to put them in this one. If we zoom out to the weekly, you can see, you know, we've fallen so far in this coin. And this is not just like one candle of the opening range. You know, this is a, so when you put your fibs on, you know, the real all-time highs, you say, well, that's my target, the 236 fib. It's not kind of, yeah, I think if we get out of this and we make a base, that is a really good first target. But for now, it's not kind of relevant to the fibs where we are. And if we now go back to the daily, clearly, because we didn't really tag a level from this high, I'm not going to rely on lean on them. And I'm going to instead do my fibs from this most recent swing lower, which is often more reliable. And if we do that, then we reversed at an 886 fib. And when you do that, your target's back to the 50%, which we did, and we bounced really nicely. So what if this now is going to be after a big long rally and ABC correction? Well, we want to know, is this a good level to find support, or are we going to see another swing lower? Because if we do that, then we'd be headed to the 236 fib, and that's our support. So here is our, if we lose this support here in Ontology Tether at 61.52, and that's where the support is. If we close underneath it and get stuck underneath it, I think we're headed to 0.42. So 0.615, if we close underneath it, lower to 0.44 in Ontology Tether. But otherwise, this is really good support. We could be correction all complete here. This 61.8 level and this and the 200 moving average. So two support levels to watch in Ontology. Let's see what happens. So we've already done the 50% thing, so we won't lean on that again, but that's where I'd be looking for Ontology Tether. And if we look at Ontology Bitcoin, which is probably more traded. Let's go to the weekly on this one. Yeah, again, I just don't. These fib levels we never kind of got. So we'll use this swing. It's all a bit random, isn't it? Which I don't like. 61.8. Okay, so now we've got horizontal levels instead of sort of flaggy looking ones. Got an alert on the top. We never broke out. So annoying. Okay, so we've done that 61.8 thing, but instead of the 38.2 being the opposite end of our golden ratio zone, the 236 fib has been. And so that, if we look left, is really quite good support at 612. And here we are back at this 61.2 level again. I don't know if it's going to hold or not. And these moving averages are completely flat. So I would say just like Ontology dollar, we're almost at really good support. And we need to watch and see if we'll put our toe in and turn it around here. Because if we don't, see, I think we've done our ABC correction in this one. We shouldn't be here. Look, we've done ABC. But we might retest the lows, 556. That would be cruel. So, yeah, below 612, it may be that we need to test 556 in Ontology Bitcoin, and we're not quite done yet. I mean, I'm looking at this. It looks like we're making a pretty nice base here. We've just flipped these 15-minute moving averages, haven't we, out of this wedge? But we're not out of trouble till we make a new high here. So, maybe. Okay, so that's Ontology. OMG. Omes go. Here we go. Omes go. So here's a little thing that I look at. So we're going to go all the way down to here, aren't we? Okay, so I drew this little box here because when you go sideways around your moving averages and your moving averages go flat, which they have here, then it's really a range trade and you can go either way. But when you break out of it, your target is back to the 200 moving average. And so although we've got some pretty good fib support maybe coming up, OMG Tether could still head lower to that 200 moving average. Each of these fib levels tends to have produced a bit of a reaction, and so I would be holding out for potentially one here. And I would even say, you know, if we look left here, there's a pretty good level. We're right on here. Maybe we don't even get there. You can see from the opening high, and the swing low here. So maybe a little bit of a bounce level, but it needs to do a lot of work to convince me that it's made a bottom here. So yeah, let it flip these moving averages and see. And yeah, this is maybe a support level, but we're still in a downtrend until we, you know, bounce, go back, make a higher low, make a double bottom, make some kind of bottoming pattern. So I think you need to be patient. But if you're in this and you've ridden it all the way down, then, you know, you might, patience, you don't want to give up and sell the lows, do you? So let's take a look at OMG Bitcoin. Now that we know we're at a pretty good level in OMG dollar to bounce from, let's look at this, because we'll do the same again here. It's a pretty good level. And let's look at this weekly. Yeah. Weekly 20 moving average. So if we ignore the fibs, we're almost pretty close on this 786 fib, aren't we? But if we look at 20 weekly moving average, support and resistance level, and a big support and resistance level, we can take it all the way here, then yeah, this is somewhere where we could be looking here, or a teeny bit lower to this 23.26 is in OMG, where we could be looking for a reversal, but not quite enough evidence at the moment. We just stopped going down. You know, to make a base, you need to stop going down, rally, retest, flip me moving averages the other way around, and so on, and then you know, so okay, good level for OMG. Let's watch it, see if it will hold on. Let's look at Link. Now Link is another one. Let's go to the week. This is Link Bitcoin, and then we'll look at Link dollar. Link Bitcoin. I had marked two levels here on this chart where I thought we could find some support and rally back from. And on the weekly, it looks like we're underneath our weekly 20 moving average. But you know, by the end of this week, if we can rally back and we're back above it, it's not going to look bad at all. So yeah, between 83,800 and 85,000, I thought that this was a good level to hold on to. On the daily, we've had a look underneath, but we're not closing under there, so I don't know, this could go either way, couldn't it? We could be underneath this level, back testing it, and then go, oh, see you later, and down to the next support, or we could consolidate, get above it, and then what we're looking for is for it to be support, and then we're going higher. So we're right at that place in Link Bitcoin. Let's see what Link dollar is doing. Tricky, isn't it? So much stuff is tricky tonight. Okay, I'm going to look at the daily. Now, maybe I've drawn the fibs wrong, because if I have, now we'll look at these previous fibs, okay, and the reaction. So we've gone all the way now from the low March 2020. We're not just looking at this swing, the whole thing, okay. At the 236 fib, we had a bounce for 3 days. It was support, and then we dropped to the 38.2. Big strong rally from there in a massive ABC. 38.2 was then resistance when we were underneath it. This 50%, we held it for a couple of days before we lost it, and now here we are at the 61.8. So given that every other fib level has given us a really nice reaction, it would be weird to think that we're not going to get one from the 61.8. 61.8 levels can be a little bit messy. By that I mean you can look the other side quite a long way and still come back about it above it. But I kind of like this level. I kind of like how we're holding these previous highs as well. And so, as you know, if you're going to bounce in the golden ratio zone, which this would be then, from here, then the 50% through the middle is like your pivot level. That's your resistance. So 10.73, and above 10.73 you go back to the 38.2. But in between, when you're in this, it's all kind of quite a bit neutral. So let's see. This is another one. Good level to bounce. Just watching this reaction. And it's quite good, isn't it? We've just actually above our 15-minute moving averages, and these were resistance all the way down for the last 2 days. So not bad. Not a bad level for Link dollar to bounce from. Resistance at 10.75. Okay, XTZ. And then Atom. And then I'm going to finish, if that's okay, because it's been a brutal day. A brutal day. XTZ then. Oh, Sky, I'll take a look at ICX. Wink. Gee, Jimmy, let me look. Tezos. Listen, you don't need me to tell you about XTZ, do you? I'm kidding. Okay. Damn, this level didn't hold. Let's have a chart clean up here. It's not our target anymore, it's come too far. So this is a huge correction. You know how sometimes I said, B leg, this looks like a big ABC up, and then we've gone A, and then this B leg is... We've lost this equal measured move. And we've lost this 61.8 fib level as well. So that's not, I have to say that's normal. Now, this is a good rule because I know this didn't get to a 1.618 and I know they weren't equal, but clearly this rally was an ABC. And if you have an ABC rally, you look for a retrace to the 786 and it's called a cipher pattern. I'm not a big fan of it, but there it is. So 1542, that's where I think we're headed in Tezos Bitcoin, unless we can get above this 61.8 level again. And we might. 61.8 levels are messy. They really are messy, so you can overshoot them. So above 2083, we're going to be bullish, and otherwise we're buyers down here. And in between, it's pretty no man's land, And if we get resistance there, it's a pretty sure thing we're going lower. In a bull market, XTZ was the one that would really be, I know. Okay, so those are the two parameters if you want to buy this. We need to be back above 2083, or we're going to wait for this low here at 1542. Okay, next one. Have I done them all? Meatfish says, you thought like, is it half an hour transaction? Bloody hell. David Corden, I don't have a Telegram group, actually. I am on Facebook and we have a Slack chat. But, what can I say? I look at the markets live twice a day. And my partner, LaShawn, he looks at them at the US Open as well. And it's a really nice group if you'd like to try it. But I don't have a Telegram, sorry. Okay, we're going to take a quick look at ICX. If I've missed one, you better yell. What's the... Oh, yeah, let's go and look at XTZ against US dollar. Bitcoin. Okay. We'll look at it against Tether now. 1 point against Tether, it's 1 point. Now, and this is interesting, right? Look, because against Tether, it was much clearer of an equal measured move, wasn't it? Here, almost equal. And when you reverse at an ABC equal measured move, you look for a 786 retrace of the whole pattern. So actually that puts us a little bit lower. Jimmy Choo, I'm not that far away from you at all. I know Cambridgeshire. In fact, my parents lived in Cambridgeshire for 30 years. But I am in Nelson's County, which is Norfolk. So I'm about an hour away from you. Now, if we let's look at which fibs the market's looking at, because that's sometimes helpful. If I put my fibs on from this all-time low to high here, I would say that we're probably not looking at these. They don't really line up at all. So I'm going to go back to here and see if they look a little bit better. And I'm going to say that they do look. This 236 is a little bit messy, but this 38.2, this 50% and this 61.8 are sharp. So we're going to move our target up. And we're going to call this 786 at 1.7 our buy level. And we're going to be bullish if we get back above 2.3 before then. Okay, so those are our parameters in Tezos Tether. 1.7083, and then above 2.3 we're going to be bullish. Yeah, I don't know if James is too busy dressing up in a leaf suit, but anyway, so what's that one you're asking me? Wink G. I keep looking at. I like this one. It's so sad that I like Rune because of the name, isn't it? I'm so sad. A swing failure pattern here. Wouldn't see a nice bounce in Rune. I'm just saying. But all-time lows, it's such a good time to buy anything, isn't it? Not. Okay, let's take a quick look. Wink G. Oh dear. No, this is not quite enough, is there? Not quite enough information. Yeah, we'll look at that one next week. Sunny Honey. My favourite beach is just around the corner from there, if you keep going on the corner. So, yeah, it's lovely, Norfolk. All right, everyone. See you all next week. Now, back to recap, because I think that we will get a bounce, but we are owed some more downside. And where we close tonight will tell us if our bounce is going to be shallow, or when we or if we're going to get a bigger bounce. What I will do in the morning, I think, is make a video update for Bitcoin at least. ICX, yeah, ICX. Okay, thank you, Skyhan, for the reminder. Now, the good news in ICX was we didn't make one of those nasty equal measured moves. But if we could look at this on a weekly, it's clear that it wasn't, this swing wasn't impulsive. And so it probably was an ABC. And the reason is, if it was impulsive, you know, this big wave one, we would never have come back into it. And so it's all a little bit choppy and overlapping and a bit of a correction, isn't it? So when you've got a big, either way, here I think that we are looking for at least a 3-wave correction before we can look at going back higher again. And because I think it's an ABC, I'm going to put my fib retrace levels on both swings, and we'll have a look and see. Oh no, we're going to use this one. That's fine. This one works. This is what the market's looking at. Okay, and damn, another one in that. So this is our fibs from low to high. You can see how they're working, and you can see that we're in that golden ratio zone. We're stuck in between the 61.8 and the 38.2, and because we're underneath the 50% in the middle, we're coming back to retest the bottom rail again, if you like. So remember, these pattern, this fib levels, they're messy. So I would not be surprised at all if we drop down in ICX Tether and tested this 200 moving average and then jump back again smartly. Okay, just bounce pretty quick. So 0.3807 in ICX. That's ideal support, but we might have a look underneath, and these lows as well would be where our support comes from. In fact, there's all kind of here, highs, lows, 200 moving average. So I think we might dip a little bit lower before we bounce again in ICX Tether. 0.35, 0.38 around there is where the support is. If we look at ICX Bitcoin, and then clearly when we get back to the middle here, this 50% level, Jimmy Chi, you can give it a try. If you don't like it, you get your money back, don't worry. We all chat in Slack, but I'm live twice a day and we're on Facebook, so just because it's easy, everyone has it on their phone. But you can make another account with a fake name, I don't care. If you don't want people to know who you are, that's fine. I completely get that in crypto. Okay, so that's ICX Tether. That's what I think we're going to see. And in ICX Bitcoin, here we go. Damn. Now, this one, this is a pretty good level, you know, for us to bounce from. A really good level. Look at these lows here and the 200 moving average. Against Tether, we're kind of already there, you know. Highs, 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 lows, lows. 200 moving average, sharp snapback. And so remember, in US dollar Tether, we might be done with this marginal new low, and this may be a pretty good place to rally from. I like how we've recovered this support and resistance level. So let's see. The problem is we've only just got here, and you need to do a bit more to make a base. You see here when we stopped, we bounced, retested, and then we could rally away. Here, bounce, retest, and then rally away. So would I buy it here now? No, I probably wouldn't. What I'd like to see is it bounce and then retest tomorrow. And then I would definitely look at buying ICX. Now that would be one way. Sometimes though, what happens if they make a V bottom and you don't get in? In other words, they don't retest. Well, in this one, I would say, if we do this, if we break out of this little channel, then we're not going to retest. But otherwise, the retester would be what I'd be looking for. So sort of above 4,400, then yeah, it's probably broken out and it won't retest. But otherwise, I would look for, okay. All right, everyone. Good night. See you next Monday. I will post videos to Twitter this week to update, okay? I know Slack, it's a resource hog. They're all horrible. But okay. Bye, everyone.